driving JKLive. Senate Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show. Good to see you, man.
Thank you. Thank
Karibu
you. Good
sana.
to see you too. Asante sana.
So listen, man, let's start with your, I think your latest tweet,
Yes.
or one of.
Yes.
Monica, do we have that tweet? Is that it right there? We are officially on autopilot.
Yeah.
This was June 24th, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
You know, Jeff, I read your book. And so I know you know one thing or two about pilots and being on a plane
Yes.
and so forth.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who is a pilot told me that a plane is put on autopilot after takeoff by the pilot. And one of the most key or important thing, it helps the pilot to be able to navigate areas that are cloudy or when visibility is bad, especially when you are landing a plane. You know, locally here, you sometimes, you know, we come to Nairobi and you find there's a thick cloud.
Yes.
But the pilot tells you we will have turbulence, but we will land because we are equipped with good equipments that can lead the plane to the right runway. And it was that evening I'd watched the news. There was this story about assassinations and so forth. Then I told myself that we have the pilot on the cockpit and the co-pilot. And the good thing we are, because of this dark cloud and the confusion that is around, I believe that now we are officially on autopilot. Meaning that the system that the pilot is going to engage is to enable us to navigate the challenges that are ahead of us.
So were you saying it as a good thing, or are you saying this as, you know, brace yourselves?
I was surprised that most of the blogs and even media houses picked it as a negative thing. But I think because people don't know the terminologies used in air flights or, you know, in navigation, I think some people even took it to mean that we are in a free fall,
right,
or that we were inside a drone, that nobody is, you know, the pilot is not there.
Right.
Some would even say that the pilot is absent or is sleeping. I saw one of them saying that the pilot and the co-pilot are fighting and so forth. Yes. So people are bound to have as many interpretations as possible. But a plane that is put on autopilot or it's being the pilot, by the way, people need to know that there cannot be a time that a plane that is carrying passengers or any other person is actually going to be able to take off and land itself. The pilot must always be there. Yeah. The systems that are being used, the pilot must be there. Right. So I found it strange that some characters, of course, you know for sure that because of the situation that we are in at the moment, anything I say will be twisted to mean that I must be attacking the president or, you know, because there are people who are desperate to hang on anything negative. Right. But as a matter of fact, a plane that is being at autopilot stage means that the pilot has navigated through takeoff. We are at a cruise level, but because of the challenges that are ahead of it and to allow also the pilot to relax, the autopilot mode must be engaged. But in that situation, at that point in time, I was using it in regard to the news that was all over about the assassination, etc. Okay, but look, is the pilot and the co-pilot, are they getting along in this cockpit? That is a very good question, Jeff. In fact, later I realized that my analogy was very useful. You know, every time, assuming Murkomen is a cabin crew, because of my position. Correct. Yeah? So cabin crew have an opportunity sometimes. You go knock that door. Correct. And you are allowed. You have the code. You are able to go to the cockpit and talk to the pilot. Yes. Sometimes the pilot wants tea or whatever. Yes. And I can tell you for sure, for the period of time that I have sat in an environment where the president and the deputy are, or to be in a situation where they are talking, or they are in a public conversation, I have come to the conclusion that the pilot and the co-pilot are in good working relationship. Okay, what about off public? The problem that when I'm locked on this other side, now I'll not be able to know whether when we are not inside there, they are not talking. But that's not even the issue.
Okay, wait a minute.
The main issue is what confuses members of public is actually the purported fights that are in the public domain by persons who are posturing either to be allies of the president or the allies of the deputy president.
Yes.
And this indicates...
And you're part of the Tanga Tanga team. In fact, you're the captain of Tanga Tanga.
I'll come. You know, Jeff, I find it insulting when people try to call us Tanga Tanga, because every time they talk about this Tanga Tanga team, for me, you know, a little bit freak, because it was the president who used that term.
Correct.
And every time it's used, I always wonder what the president thinks when we are in a public space and people are saying, oh, you know, we are Tanga Tanga. Because I think in a way it's like attacking the president, but in a very clever manner, because you're trying to tell him that, you know, what that very term that the president used in Embakasi, I think one of the places in Eastland, was it Embakasi or somewhere, that, you know, the deputy president atakuja kutangatanga kuangalia miradi. And then we went for the JB's mother's funeral in Embu. Then the deputy president said, Mheshimiwa Rais, ile kazi ulinipatia ya kuangalia. In fact, the deputy president has been so careful in public never to use the word Tanga Tanga. In fact, in Embu, he just said, that work you gave me to supervise roads and so forth. So for me, I am at a loss to be categorized as something that I am very careful not to. But the most
you're happy to call those other people Kieleweke?
Because they branded themselves, they wrote it themselves. It's not like a brand that comes from outside. They are the ones who said we are the Kieleweke team. And you know, when Gunjiri started that Kieleweke, you know, he made it clear, he even prepared poster that Kitaeleweka, Kitaeleweka. The difference between accepting the branding that has now become public anyway, it's a public notoriety that there is a team that is supposedly called Tanga Tanga and another one called Kieleweke. The difference is this: the so-called Tanga Tanga are insisting that there is something called Uhuru Ruto, which was really the foundation of what Jubilee is. And our friends who call themselves Kieleweke are saying there is Uhuru no Ruto, minus Ruto. So that is really the difference. And I'm stuck there because I can't be able, as a majority leader in the majority party in the Senate, and whose responsibility is to take care of the interests of the party and the policy positions of the party in the Senate, it's very difficult for me to take sides, to either be said you are for president, you are not for president, because I don't have another party leader. I am actually directly responsible for government policy in the Senate.
Correct, as the Senate majority leader. But you are also one of the closest confidants of Deputy President William Ruto. You talk very often.
That is true. Yes. But Jeff, if you went to do research, a proper research, there are many people who talk to the Deputy President more than myself, and who are not necessarily even Kalenjins. There are people who are even closer to the Deputy President more than me.
Than you?
Yes, for sure. But you see, because of a narrative that is being weaved, you know, people are happy to point out that, you know, I am close. For example, the only reason why people think that I am for William Ruto and not for Uhuru Kenyatta is because I'm a Kalenjin. It's by virtue of just my ethnic, ethnic background, which is a problem in this country. Because on what basis does someone just wake up one day and say, you know, this one is for this and this for the other one? And it's difficult, you know, to navigate through that kind of thinking. So for sure, my friendship and closeness to the Deputy President is as close to the Deputy President as I'm close to the President.
How often do you speak to him?
To the President?
No, Deputy. I
have never counted, but it depends. Like, for example, because the Deputy President is the one, as you said, has more coordination for us who are in Parliament and so forth, based on his relation to the President.
Did you speak to him today?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, not just to speak to him, we were in a meeting to discuss the issues of the division of revenue and the role of the Senate and so forth.
I will come to the assassination allegations in a moment, but first I want you to listen to this soundbite, because your Autopilot tweet has created a lot of controversy. This was CS Munya yesterday, speaking to my colleague Hussein Mohammed on Newsnight. Monica.
So to say a country is an autopilot is again reckless politics, intended to cast aspersions on the topmost office in the country. Because when you say autopilot, whom are you referring to? You're talking about the pilot. So it is part of the recklessness that we are saying we need to stop.
I think we should, my senior in the legal profession, Honorable Munya, the CS, should be forgiven because he is not an expert on matters aviation. At least for me, both of us taught the same university. We both taught Moi University. He was ahead of me. He taught with Kindiki. I came and taught later. The advantage I have is that I taught air and space law at Catholic University. Munya has very little knowledge about what happens in the air there. So we'll forgive him for that because most likely in his desire to look, more closer to the president than everybody else,
yes,
he was trying to, maybe he thought I had said the country is now a drone. There is no pilot or something.
Okay, well, wait a minute. We have another tweet by you.
Yes.
Following your autopilot tweet. Monica, where's that tweet? Well, you said, we must change course or perish.
Correct.
So we're on autopilot.
Yeah.
You're happy with the autopilot.
Yeah.
But now you suddenly want us to change course?
But that's a response to Amin Asrir Abdullahi, who said,
Grand Mullah.
You can see, he said, we have a national unanimity that all isn't too well in the Republic. And then I said, it is true, we must change course or we perish. And it's true.
So we can't be on autopilot and change course, man. Come on, make up your mind.
But let me ask you, and you are the one who should be able to educate the public. First of all, it is okay if you want to relate this tweet to my tweet because it has no relationship. I went to respond to Amin Asir on something else.
Right.
And assuming even that was correct, a plane that is autopilot doesn't mean doesn't change course.
Yes.
Because the pilot is sitting there and is in communication. He can see the equipment.
Right.
The plane is telling him that there is a cloud there.
Yes.
He is able to engage the plane to change course. Yes.
So, okay.
But as a matter of fact, I totally agree. There are two tweets that were very profound this week. One was by Amin Asir about that all is not too well in the Republic. I agree with him 100%. Number two, there was another tweet by Mutai Ngunyi, which I also retweeted and agreed with him, which was about that country is going down a reckless path and make sure that it doesn't take a life of its own. You know, Jeff.
Hold on. Let's take a look at that tweet you just mentioned. Is that Mutai's tweet?
Yeah.
Mutai Ngunyi saying, country is going down a reckless path. Let's pray it does not acquire a life of its own.
Correct. You see, Jeff, before the 2007-2008 violence, there were people who were in political office. There were people who were close to presidents. Yeah. There were people who were close to senior politicians. But they kept quiet because things were going on well for themselves. But in the position of responsibility that we have two ways of addressing concerns that may occur in positions of power. Those that we think that we must pass only to the leaders who are running government, including the president and deputy, will do that quietly behind the scenes. But where the conversation has reached a stage where it's affecting the rest of the nation, and you can see, like Mutai Ngunyi says, it's almost acquiring a life of its own. People are picking interpretations because of the behavior of the leadership, and they're beginning a conversation that is driving the country to a wrong direction. I was in a place where somebody joked and said, the deputy president, the allegations about assassination of the deputy president, and there is why are people in Eldoret not going for mandamano and demanding this and that. And I told them this is the reckless conversation we don't want to go as leaders. And let me tell you, Jeff, it's sometimes you want to be counted, to be on record, to be on a certain side of history. And for me and my experience in life, the person I am in, the last thing I would like to see in this country is to have a situation where we go back to tribal or ethnic animosity and balkanization.
Do you see that coming?
If we are not careful, like Mutai is saying there, we are headed there, because once conversation in the country heads to direction of assassinations, assassination is not just a small thing. It actually, in even more serious nations, Parliament would have stopped to debate such a very serious matter. It calls for forensic investigations, because that is the ultimate thing that can break a nation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, we looked at that tweet. I've lost my train of thought, but I'll come back to. Oh yes, the assassination allegations. Monica, do we have that letter? Do we have that letter? Could you post it up, please? Because I don't think many viewers have seen this purported letter.
Yeah.
You putting it up?
Yeah.
It's on air right now. Come on. Is this for real?
You know, the one thing about the level of the conversation, the issues at hand are so serious that you can't take anything for granted. And I don't think we should focus so much about the authenticity of the letter. We should focus more on the authenticity of the allegations. And if you want me to go there, I'll say this. The reason why so many people, because I talk with my colleagues even in Parliament and all over, why many people take that assassination conversation more seriously is because there is a background to it. And the background is this. I came to this show here, I think we were saying at some point in time, and I said that there were some people around the presidency and office of the president who don't like the president and the deputy to be seen together, and they are working so hard to see that they are separated. That time, of course, it created a big story, and some people were in denial. Yeah. But, Jeff, thereafter, the deputy president, in over 20 meetings, there have been direct instructions by the PS Interior that the county commissioner should not attend his meetings. Direct, I'm not saying indirect, direct.
Like and, they shouldn't be there?
They shouldn't be in his
County
meetings.
commissioner?
County commissioners and all that.
Why?
And let me just come to that first. Yeah. So in Nyeri, it happened, you know. In Kajiado, a county commissioner was recalled back to Nairobi. In Nakuleu's constituency, the Honorable Nakuleu actually in Turkana made it public. In Honorable Moses' constituency and Honorable, I'm forgetting his name, in Kisii there, again, they complained publicly about why not just being told not to attend, but actually actively being warned not to attend the president meetings.
Why?
Let me just come to that. I will sum up now when I finish. So that's the first point of a pointer that there was a problem. Yeah, even the Nyeri one was even worse because it went even to the police being stopped just in the middle between Boynet leaving and the new Muchembai coming in. There was a stoppage of policemen from going to deputy president meeting. Mr. Atwoli was on public saying that the deputy president will not be in ballot. He has had to somersault his interpretation of what he meant, but we know that he is in conversation with also people who are of that direction. And so this conversation, the basis, and that time I remember, was it Honorable Cheruiyot or somebody who went public and asked Atwoli, what is he planning to kill the deputy president so that he's saying he's not going to be in the ballot. Right. So once you have a background like that, you know, of issues, now you're being told that there was a meeting that took place in Lamada, which has definitely now it's no longer in doubt because the cabinet secretary has admitted to that fact that there was a meeting, that the meeting took place in Lamada in a basement where phones were confiscated, and the meeting was labeled secret, and the meeting was co-chaired, or was it by the same person who has denied the deputy president security all over? So the question you ask yourself is that there is actually reasonable background to believe that thought, and you know it's worse. Governor Sonko went public and said, you know, I know what you said about Saitoti and all that kind of thing. We are told in that meeting, supposedly, one of the PSs said that, you know, we must stop. No, let me just go back a little bit. Remember, all this conversation is around the organization which was publicly announced by Murathe that they have formed a Stop Ruto movement, which later now is patronized by Honorable Kamanda, which is ironic because Honorable Kamanda was given, because of his age and experience, to chair a committee of national cohesion, but never mind, including deputized by the chair of security in the National Assembly. So all these stories forms the background of this conversation. Now, let me just conclude. So now, you are being told that in confidence, someone has leaked out an information that during this basement meeting, that PS went public and said that, you know, we must stop the deputy president by all means without being president. In any case, because it's the words, in any case, even Saitoti would have been a presidential candidate, was stopped. Would you take that out serious, such an allegation seriously?
Okay, let's listen again to CS Munya yesterday speaking to my colleague Hussein Mohammed. Where's that? Monica, you have that? Yep.
Si hiyo ni spin ya kuleta siasa. Ndio watu pengine wafikirie nao sasa mtu yetu anapangiwa sympathy ipatikane na hakuna mpango kama huyo. Mpango unatoka wapi? We are spending our energies thinking about irrelevant issues, because if you ask me, there is no plan to kill anybody. It is not there. Everybody, right thinking, knows that it is not there. So this is the environment the president is saying, can we dissuade ourselves from raising the temperatures so that the citizens who rely on government services, who don't rely on politics, can also have a share of development that they vote people to do.
So, Senator, the deputy president has not even filed a complaint with the DCI.
Good question.
He hasn't filed a complaint.
Good question.
So what's the big deal? You guys are getting your knickers in a twist.
Thank you very much. And I'm very grateful you're saying that fact. In fact, I've seen many reports for the 2 days making it clear that the DCI is looking for the deputy president to make a complaint.
Yeah.
So the question, Jeff, you should ask yourself, who made the complaint? Who forced 4 cabinet secretaries to go to DCI and some, government officials to record statements? You know, the reports I read in the newspaper, because I have not discussed this with the DP or the president,
right.
But the reports I've seen you've reported is that the president is the one who ordered that investigation be done. By the time the person at the level of the president is ordering, if that is true, an investigation, it means a serious thing. You know, the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Correct.
So it's not just a simple issue. Number 2 is that I have seen Honorable Munya, who is a lawyer like myself, trying to allege there that, in any case, if it was so serious, it should come, the deputy president should come and record a complaint.
Yes.
But he knows very well in criminal law, the complainant is the state. It is not a must that the deputy president records any statement. It's not a must that there should be a complaint. It is enough. Any suspicion that any state agent that is responsible for investigations can have on any of such an allegation, it doesn't need to wait for anyone to come and record a statement as a complainant. In any case, assuming the alleged assassination succeeded, are you going to tell me, Jeff, that there was not going to be investigation by DCI because the victim is dead? The point is this. The point is this.
Yeah.
If there is serious allegations that involve assassination of a person of the level of the deputy president, it must be taken so seriously. Number 2, if it is taken so seriously, the DCI must proceed to do its investigations.
Right.
And there are 2 ways of looking at this issue. If the president gets convinced that there was a possibility of such a discussion, because now it is now obvious that there was no discussion about development, because now they're telling us they were meeting in a basement to discuss development of people of Central Province. Can I tell you how fallacious that statement is?
Go on.
You see, you cannot tell me development of Central Province can be done in a basement, with all that secrecy, with the removal of funds, without using government offices.
Yeah, but that's all hearsay.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. The people of Central Province voted for this government to a man. The people of Central Province pay taxes. The people of Mount Kenya pay taxes. The people of Mount Kenya do not need permission from anybody to demand services. We cannot possibly tell the nation that when we go to Rift Valley, when we go to Nyanza meeting was in public. The other day, the president went there, the former prime minister went there. When we go to Western to deal with matters of sugar, when we go to Coast to deal with our roads and development there, we will do it in public. But for Central Province, we'll do it in secret, because the people of Central Province, are they of a lesser God? Are the people of Central Province visitors to this nation? So the first fallacy is to make an argument that the people of Central Province deserve development that is best in secrecy. Number 2, currently, the people of Central Province, their main complaint about are 2 things: business and agriculture. Now we're being told there was a meeting in a basement of a particular hotel in Lamada there, and the discussion was about how to spread Wi-Fi in Central Province but not about tea, coffee. You know, Jeff, I have relationship and family from Central Province.
Yes, you do.
And you know, I meet with my members of parliament and so forth.
Yes.
The key things that the people of Central Province are talking about is revival of agriculture and agro-processing. Number 2 is business. Business in which sense? Licensing of businesses, licensing of foreigners to come to the country, the question of releasing of goods of people who are, from the ports, the inspection by ICD and KEPS and so forth. All those problems that the people of Central Province are facing are in the docket. Oh, no, let me just complete. Are in the docket of Peter Munya.
So you're convinced?
Let me just complete. And the docket of Peter Munya. If Peter Munya wanted to do his job, the president would never have to go to container depot to release goods. He cannot hide his incompetency by pretending to be solving the problems that are affecting our people in secrecy.
So you just called Munya incompetent?
It is not just incompetent, grossly incompetent. So because by the time, let me tell you, by the time the president of the Republic of Kenya is going to be forced to hold a meeting with traders, go to container depot, himself say release these goods within a month, which have never been released. It means that he has a cabinet secretary whose mind is now focused on succession at the expense of the things that are affecting the very people that the president wants to learn.
So what do you tell people who say this is a sympathy, you know, Deputy President is seeking sympathy, you know, by playing on this assassination allegations?
I think, first of all, it's not the Deputy President who has played assassination allegations in public. He's not the one who has complained to anyone in public. So
he's using people like you.
But I have not even complained. I am now reacting to a complaint that is only public domain. As I have told you, I am not the one who ordered those cabinet secretaries to go to DCI. The Deputy President never called the DCI. He's being sought by DCI to record a statement. It means, therefore, that the complainant is neither the Deputy President nor myself. So if that is the case, and Jeff...
But he denies it, by the way. Munya denies it.
A friend of mine told me this evening that the problem with this country is that such a weighty matter. When Raila Odinga in, I think 2 or something, talked about a plot to assassinate him, when the Markarians and Sagazian were here, the whole country took that issue very seriously. Of course, we still had ministers in parliament, it was taken seriously and so forth. And all of us supported him and said that there must be proper investigation. The problem with us is to trivialize matters that relate to life, that things that should be unifying us, and make it so trivial and political because we do not agree with the Deputy President politically. If we want to move forward as a nation, we must be very careful. The Bible says that he who believes that he stands must always check so that he may not fall. We have always been priding ourselves that we are the best country in democracy, we're the best country in peace and so forth. We should not allow our nation, because if the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is assassinated, there will be no candidate. He will not be a candidate in 2022. So the sympathy, what sympathy will he gain if he will be dead? So the thing we should be focusing about is that we must restore the software of the nation to where it has been, where people are not living in fear.
All right. You spoke to him today.
Yes.
Was he worried? Was he concerned? Was he...
I could not find it because it was a long meeting about division of revenue and the Senate. So, but when I asked him, you know, what is this story that you are being sought by DCI and so forth, he said, no. You know the way he usually does. No. Those are other issues. No. You know?
Yeah, he brushed it off.
He brushed it off. And you know, but you know, I am now of age. I'm about 40 years. I still see his body language is a person who is concerned. And you know, one of the reasons why I think the Deputy President is very concerned, he has never wanted to, even when we usually complain about the Jubilee, there's problems, you see him coming public and say, no, me and the President will sort that issue.
Correct.
But on this one, I can see some level of concern. Number 2 is that I also saw his convoy when he left his office, that it looked like it was enhanced. So I asked one of the security guys, but there's another extra car, 2 or so here, people different I've never seen before. And he told me there's some work that has been done. So the question I asked myself, you know, quietly was, then these things are serious.
Okay, we're going to take a break, come back, talk a lot about, you just talked about Jubilee. Are there cracks in Jubilee? People are asking, is Jubilee falling apart?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, you know, a lot of people would disagree with you. When did the rain start beating? And then the president has also said, you know what, forget about campaigning. And you people are campaigning every weekend. What's all that about? Let's talk about it when we come back.
Okay,
we're talking live with the Senate Majority Leader, Kipchumba Murkomen. He's also the senator from Elgeyo Marakwet, county number 028. Right here live. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya. Hashtag is JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.